Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm KandyCorpse, you can call me Kay, and today's gonna be another episode of true scary stories that I found on Reddit. These are all gonna be from the same subreddit. These are gonna be from the subreddit r/letsnotmeet, and as always, they're gonna be linked below. So this first story is titled, I think my friend either knowingly or unknowingly introduced me to a person with scary intentions. This is a real story that's happening now, but this is all really started on my birthday. I did speak with an authority about these instances, but I'm open to hearing your takes as well. It's been pretty frightening. Quick backstory, I, F27, live with a female roommate, Julia, and her boyfriend. About a year ago, Julia and I started going to a hangout spot and met a woman working there around our age, Sam. Julia and I stopped going after a while, but I stayed friends with Sam. Not super close, but seeing her once every couple of weeks. She supported my business, brought me small gifts, and invited me places over the course of the year. I enjoyed being friends with her. On my birthday, Sam and other friends posted my photo on social media. That's when I get a message from an account I don't know asking me to message them back and discuss a film opportunity. Half curious, I responded. They say a bunch to finally come out and say that they are casting adult film stars. They quote me a large amount of money and say it's very private. Porn sold overseas, no one will ever see. I declined politely. Honestly, I chuckled. By the way, they're not Googleable. There's nothing on their social page or anything about their production company online. The person messaging insists I text their female reference. Curiosity gets the best of me because I do that. The female reference weirds me out. She's normal at first but seems too excited about the actual job. She's encouraging me to do my casting with the person I've messaged and saying I'm very lucky he's only offered that to a few girls. I'm thinking no woman in porn really feels this excited / happy / satisfied with all that. I'm weirded out and I block her. He messaged me to ask if we talked. I say yes, but I declined again and he's blocked now too. I'm embarrassed I even considered. But then, a couple days later, my roommate shows me a weird text to her personal number. It's the same people, similar offer. They say, though, we found you on a list, you must have signed up. I'm sure my roommate did no such thing. I'll say here, not many people know both me and my roommate's number. I tell my roommate what happened to me and we're both confused. For the next 4 months or so, I get text messages, all different kinds, all eventually saying, yes, this is non-Googleable adult film company and we're so sorry about the mix-up. I answer some nice, I answer some mean, I ignore others completely. They never ask for photos, info, anything really except to consider the offer and maybe come for a drink to discuss in person. That was it until yesterday. Sam sends me a message on social media. It's a group chat with a profile I've never seen. Sam and my business profile. I do creative team building work. Sam wants to introduce me to her friend Dave. Dave needs to hire a team builder at a fancy hotel about an hour away from me. Sam makes the introductions. I say thank you, and then Sam leaves the group chat. Dave's profile is empty. She messages me privately and says basically, I used to casually see this guy. He's good for the job. He's pretty wealthy, and I know he owns multiple businesses. He used to be in adult film productions, but I think he's been done with that, LOL, and this would be a different business he has. Other than that, he's a normal dude. I message the man back and ask what's the company and can I have the website or some pages, any more info. He says, well, he will launch the website at the event I'm being hired for and that he just bought the company and it's being branded. But Sam is messaging me too. She says he is selling the company and that this two-day hotel event is for their farewell party. She suggests I bring my boyfriend since it would be an all expenses paid stay. Although she mentioned she's going to visit this old friend to catch up over drinks, she said she hasn't seen him in a long time. All right, this is weird as heck. The guy is messaging me along the lines of, sorry, I know this is weird. Feel free to bring your boyfriend. What? And he also mentions how he was seeing my friend tonight. I leave him on Reddit until this morning. I send him the original weird adult film account and say, is this you? They say nope, and I say, yeah, okay. They respond, thumbs up, and leave the chat. That's like the most sus thing ever. I had mentioned to Sam months ago about the weird offer and text messages I got. She too said she got bizarre messages in the past. They only stopped when she said she would call the police. She didn't offer more details, but I was driving, so I didn't push it. So now I message Sam and I say straight up, Sam, I think this is a person that's been harassing me from different numbers. She acts weirded out and surprised, asked about the original account that messaged me. Eventually, she closes the convo and goes to bed. I left her on red. I don't answer her calls the next day, and she texts me, that was weird. That was weird last. LOL, call me if you want to chat because I'm confused. I don't respond. Today she texts me, okay. I wrote her back, basically saying, listen, you know I've been weirded out about this, and I've been wondering if someone is trying to abduct me, and now wondering if you're involved either innocently or not, but it's too much for me. She wrote me back saying more or less she understands that it was a scary, weird experience, but she thinks I'm way overreacting, and basically she seems offended that I could even think such a thing. She also said she wouldn't want to ever speak with someone again who could think like that about her. She left it with that, and she lives her life on the straight path and can't let someone try and drag her into something like that. I don't know if you guys know this, but you can use a free website online to insert photos of someone, and it will generate pages on the internet that match based on facial recognition. When I began having this fear of her involvement, I searched her and found what I'm 99.9% was thumbnails of her in an adult film, either her or her spitting image, as it was also pulled known photos of her. I didn't say this to her, of course. I know, she knows. But the last statement she gave me is extra weird knowing all that. So this is my story. Hopefully they don't get me. I'm not one to be played with. Yeah, no, definitely cut this person off. Like, I would block this person and I would not be talking to them ever again, because that's like a super scary and uncomfortable situation. And especially when you find stuff like that, like, it's one of those things where stuff is starting to add up over time and you don't want to get mixed up in stuff like that. This next one is titled, I still don't know what happened on our annual family trip. I don't know where else to go with this, and it still bothers me, so sorry if this isn't exactly fitting for the subreddit. This was maybe 6 to 7 years ago. I have photos on my camera still, I think, but I haven't charged it in ages. Gave up on photography, you know how it is, so I hope y'all will just trust me. So we've been going on these trips as a family for a really long time now, probably 17 years if I had to guess. I won't say where it is, but it's the Australian bush, just to give y'all an idea of the setting. Anyway, we've had a few creepy experiences there, but nothing inexplicable. But this event still weirds me out, and I can't really think of anything that explains it. So the year of this, my sister, cousin, dad, and myself drove up together, and we were the first to arrive at the house. We had to wait for my grandma to arrive with the keys, so my dad sat on the deck with a beer, and my sister and cousin and I went on a little journey. The three of us made our way to the little creek not far from the house that we nicknamed Bridge to Terror. I'm assuming it's supposed to be Bridge, but they typed Bride to Terabithia because of the tree that had fallen and acted as a bridge for us to get across the creek. This creek never had water in it though, and it was not deep or wide, so we could easily walk through it, but the tree was fun. Anyways, my cousin makes an off-the-cuff comment as we walk across the tree, sort of sarcastically, is there something dead around here? Because of how many flies there were. Lo and behold, we get to the other side and there was something dead. We were greeted with a dead kangaroo. Nothing too jarring. I had seen plenty on the side of the road, but this one was cut clean in half. And when I say clean, I mean clean. Like, it was a perfect half. There wasn't an ounce of blood on the fur, no blood on the ground, and the top half was nowhere to be found. I happened to have my camera on me and took some photos of it. My cousin poked it with a stick and literally hundreds of flies came out. My cousin and sister kept poking at it, trying to move it to the creek, but it was a fully grown kangaroo, even half one, that's not exactly light. Their sticks broke, so I grabbed it by the tail and pulled it into the creek so that we could bury it, but really we just covered it with sticks and flowers. We looked around up top everywhere for the second half or a trace of what might have happened to it, but we couldn't find anything. We ended up going back down into the creek and walking through it looking for something, and what we found only made it even more confusing. We found, if I'm remembering correctly, 4 dead rabbits, but only their bottom halves, all lined up neatly along the floor of the creek until it reached thick brush that we couldn't walk through. Same thing with these rabbits though, no top halves to be found, no blood anywhere, and cut clean in half. Sorry this is way longer than I intended, but I hope y'all will read through, maybe give me some ideas to explain what this was. P.S. We still go to this area every year, and I've never seen anything like this again. What the fuck? Like, genuinely, what? Like, what is going on? That sounds like some really weird, like, only the top halves. If it was something like, if it was predators, it's still weird that it wouldn't be a clean cut. And it also, like, why would there, in total 5 bodies, 1 full kangaroo, and then 4 rabbits? That's just, like, that's too much to be like a coincidence or potential predators. I really do think that something weird was going on, and those kids, honestly, OP and like their family are really fucking lucky that whoever did that wasn't out there, because that sounds like a very dangerous person. Because I've never, like, I have multiple hunters in my family. I've seen films, you know, just a lot of like learning and research that I've done because of like my family and because we go to the woods a lot. I know a lot of hunters. This is not normal behavior. Then again, I'm also referring to the Northeast in America. So, but I really doubt it's any different in Australia. Like, are you, like, that doesn't make sense. The only thing that I can think of with something like that, and it being like a hunter and not some psycho shit, is they're using it to lure something else to them, or like lure, you know, something to a trap. So either way, these kids are extremely lucky that they're alive today to tell the story, because they could have gotten seriously hurt, especially with it being dead. Like, it could have attracted predators. Like, that's just a, whether it was human or animal, that's such a dangerous situation. I didn't even mean to ramble like this, but like, genuinely, I'm so confused by this. And like, did they not tell their parents? Did they not go back and tell their dad, hey, look what we just found? Like, because they're still going back. So I don't know. So this last story that I'm going to read today is titled Kidnapped and Zip Tied. So now that the case is over and I can talk about it freely, I figured I would share my story of the time I was kidnapped. This happened in 2021. I was 20 at the time, and I had just gotten off of work around 11 p.m. and went straight home to get ready to go out and meet my friends at the strip club. He messaged me via Facebook Messenger to hang out and smoke, and I told him that I was meeting a friend and didn't want to hang out, so he offered to drive me to/from the strip club. Well, around 12:30 a.m. he came to pick me up and said he had to dump some garbage first. He had a couch in the back of the pickup truck bed, which I assumed was the garbage he was talking about. He had made us margaritas, but I told him I didn't want to drink till I got to my destination, so we ended up just smoking marijuana on the way to dump the couch. It was about 25 to 30 minute car ride to where he wanted to dump this couch, and by the time we made it to the destination, it was about 1:15 a.m. There was a logging road just off to the side of the highway that goes for miles. He pulled all the way down to the end and left the couch there, then got back in the truck and started driving back towards the highway. But once we got halfway back to the highway, he stopped, put his truck in park, then pulled out a pipe and started smoking more marijuana. After taking a hit, he turned his head to me and stared at me for a minute with a weird smirk on his face. Then all of a sudden, he almost looked like he wanted to jump at me, but stopped himself in the moment with his hands in a motion that he was about to grab me. I got scared at this point and was frozen in shock, not knowing if it was a joke or not. I quickly realized it was not a joke, and I opened my door like I was about to get out, and he did the same. I closed my door and he closed his too. We ended up playing door tag, and eventually he got tired of it and got out of the truck and ran to my side. I was in the passenger seat. He opened my door and tried pulling me out by my legs. I was trying to kick him. I pulled my phone out to call the police, and of course my Face ID didn't want to work in the moment, and he ended up snatching the phone out of my hands. I kicked him hard enough in the chest, and he flew backwards, falling to his butt. I grabbed my purse and hopped out of the truck and started running toward the highway. I kept looking back to see how far behind me he was, and he gave me a head start before running after me, grabbing me by the back of my shoulders and forcefully throwing me into a ditch. I landed on my stomach with one leg straight out and the other one was bent at a weird angle. He sat on top of my leg/butt and was holding my left hand behind my back. I screamed and begged him to bring me home and that I wouldn't tell anyone. He got upset that I was screaming and he tried suffocating me with his other hand while still holding my left hand behind my back. I kept trying to pull his hands off my face with my right hand because it got to the point where I couldn't breathe. Finally, he let go of my face and I turned my head around to see what he was doing, and to my surprise, I watched him pull zip ties out of his front jean pocket. He zip tied my hands behind my back, then tried forcefully pulling my panties off me. I had on a skirt and was still laying on my stomach. I remember digging my knees into the ground so he couldn't get them off, and he didn't. He got up and started pacing. It shouldn't have happened this way. Just do what I say. I cried, telling him that if he was going to do anything to me, then put me back into the truck, and he did. Not going to go into detail about this part of the story, but what I did notice was he pulled out a really small Ziploc baggie out of his jean pocket and pulled out a condom. He took the condom out of the actual wrapper it came in and put it in a really small Ziploc bag. I asked him what it was, and he said it's for protection. After all that went down, he got back in the truck. Mind you, I'm still tied up, and he drove back to the highway and started driving around. I made up every excuse to get him to take them off, and he wouldn't. I asked for a cigarette. I don't even smoke cigarettes, and he lit one, smoked on it a bit, and then held it up to my mouth saying, "I'll hold it for you." And at this point, I thought to myself, what can I do to get myself out of this situation? I thought I was gonna die. I started saying things like, "You can be my sugar daddy, and I will pay to take us out for dinner tomorrow if P," and they also censored it, you know, "is all you wanted from me. You could have just said that." He loved it so much he started saying he would put me on his life insurance policy when he dies so I can get the money. Eventually, I asked him again if he would take the zip ties off. They were so tight it was cutting my circulation. He pulled into the side of the road and pulled out a mini pocket knife from his car keys and cut them off me. It took a few tries because of how tight they were, and he gave my phone back. I had an Apple Watch on my wrist and asked him for it after noticing it wasn't on my wrist anymore, and he had this surprised look on his face and said, "We need to go back and get it." He turned around and headed back to where all of that just happened. I got so scared and thought to myself, yep, this is it. I'm gonna die tonight and nobody will know until somebody finds my dead body. Once we got there, he told me to stay in the truck, and he got out and he searched the ditch for my watch. He came back to the truck after 5 minutes, said he couldn't find it, but would be back in the morning to look when it's light outside. We got back on the highway and he headed back to town. Once we got into town, he asked me, "What do you want to do now?" I said, "Bring me to my mom's house. I have to work in 4 hours and I'm tired." It was about 4:30 a.m. at this time. He brought me to my mom's. After getting to my mom's house, I looked up his name on Google, and he was on parole for first-degree murder. He had served 17.5 years in prison for murdering somebody for their life insurance policy. I'm 22 now, and I'm so thankful I got to see another day. I was subpoenaed to testify against him, and he was found guilty November 6, 2023 of all charges. As of now, he hasn't been sentenced yet. That is actually insane. Like, genuinely, that is crazy. I am glad that they're able to finally talk about their story and that, you know, the person is found guilty for what they've done to them, but that is absolutely fucking horrifying. And the fact that it was a friend, like someone that clearly was a trusted friend because they were willing to hang out with them, and when they had offered to give them a ride to their destination, being so comfortable with your friend to smoke with them and to not be worried about, you know, oh, you know, I don't have time to hang out, I'm going somewhere else, and then, oh, well, I'll drive you there. Okay, cool, that's fine. Like, yeah, the fact that it was like there was enough of that relationship built up for that and then to look them up and find out like all of this horrifying stuff. Because I mean, you know, you might be friends with someone, but not everybody Googles their friends, you know what I mean? Like, I've never Googled anybody, never Googled friends, coworkers, nothing like that. The only time I ever done anything was when someone else had brought something up, and then I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I look it up, and because this like happens to me, and I ended up finding out that one of my coworkers at the time was a registered PEDO file, you know what I'm saying? And that's horrifying, because that person was like working with minors. Like, the job we had didn't do background checks until you got to be like a manager level type stuff, which is why he didn't want the promotion, because he knew that he would get a background check, and eventually people started to find out, and that was a whole separate thing. I genuinely don't like, that's one of those situations where you always think like, you know, it's not gonna happen, or like, you know, I would be able to defend myself, but genuinely you don't know how you would react in that situation, and that is so freaking scary. But I'm just glad that OP survived and is able to tell the tale, and was strong enough to be able to go to the police, and also be able to actually like go through with the trial, because a lot of victims have a really hard time doing that and don't want to like physically face the person who attacked them, abused them, etc. So I think OP is like honestly super strong and super inspiring for getting through that and telling her story and just being as strong as she is. So that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.